Hello, this is Catherine here from FootfallCam. I'm from the UK team. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Today we will be doing, our webinar will be about our smart library solution. It's an industry-specific webinar today. So I will be sharing my screen and then we will do a question and answer at the end. I will share my screen now. If you have any trouble seeing my screen, please let me know. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. So as I mentioned, we will be talking about people counting system for libraries today. And we have been holding a series of webinars. So we'll be focusing on this one, industry specific one today. And really what libraries are needing, have been lacking the data for, is the visibility of the patrons' traffic flow. So that's what we'll be talking about today, and how our people counting system can help libraries. Okay. So just a little bit about FootfallCam. A lot of you are familiar with FootfallCam already and what we do, but just so briefly, we'll talk about it. We are a global leader in people counting systems. We are headquartered in the UK. We are manufacturers of both the hardware and the software. We are 100% in-house made. We heavily reinvest in our research and development. We're very dedicated to constantly improving our systems and constantly improving our hardware and software. We serve multiple sectors, so from retailers to smart office buildings to restaurants, museums, and of course libraries. So just briefly, the topics of today's webinar. So we'll be talking about the potential markets for libraries, mainly for our resellers. We're going to give an overview of the smart library system. We'll go through the key features, and then we'll also look at some case studies as well. So firstly, the potential market for libraries. So there is a very large market for libraries worldwide. There is also a very strong urgency to transform. So with the introduction of e-books and e-readers, public libraries are facing the challenge of needing to diversify the services that they provide. So as the demand for borrowing books maybe has gone down, libraries may look to other services that they can provide to the community. So they need to kind of expand what they offer and what they can provide for the community. So in order to do this, libraries might need to prove the utilization rate and occupancy of the library itself to maybe justify extra government funding or extra council funding. So without this data, it's very difficult for them to prove to the public body that they need more funding to improve their facilities. So just an overview of the smart library system. So this is something mentioned by the China Library, where we installed. They said that we need to have an accurate method of tracking our visitors across all different resources we provide. We want to be able to gauge the usage of each facility and allocate our funding accordingly. So this is why, why libraries need people counters, really. So as many of you know, libraries do not necessarily generate much revenue. They mainly rely on either government funding or council funding for additional resources. So they're faced with the challenge that they are unable to justify the necessity of the usage of their resources by the community to the government or council. So in other words, they don't have the means to quantify the usage of their facilities other than just taking out books. However, libraries are, of course, about much more than just taking out books. So this creates the need for people counters. So this data provided by us is able to quantify the usage for the libraries to justify for the government body. So what are the requirements for libraries? So these are the main questions that they ask. So how often are our resources being used? What is our most used and least used facility? How can we make cases to the administration, like I mentioned? And how can I automatically control the number of patrons to comply with social distancing guidelines? So that's very current for right now. As we know, governments are there are a lot of social regulations right now, social distancing regulations, that libraries, of course, as a public space need to comply with. They need to set a good example, being a public government body anyway. So firstly, visitor count. At Footfall, we count footfall. So this is what we do. So we use 3D stereoscopic vision to count people coming in and out. It does have bidirectional counting, so it can count, it can count in and out both at the same time. We do have a very high accuracy. We maintain our accuracy of over 95%, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And I will just play this video just so in case you're not aware of how it works. So there's just a very simple video of showing people counting in people counting out using the 2 3D lens. I'm sure many of you know how it works already. And also we do many reports generating from this data. So I'll just show quickly a report as well. So this is a weekly report of multiple sites, maybe for a library. So if there were different ones already, so you can see kind of a general map. You can see kind of a monthly trend of visitor count compared with last year as well. That's quite helpful, very helpful data. A weekly trend and also a daily trend. Keep going down. So there's also turn-in rate. So this is for the outside visitors. So using Wi-Fi tracking, the counter can pick up how many people walk past, and then obviously how many people enter. So that's the turn-in rate. That would be very helpful. So this is outside traffic. It's a similar thing. And visit duration as well. So, how long are people spending inside the library? So this is something very valuable as well, that they can justify extra funding for how long someone spends inside. So just a little kind of brief look at some of the reports that we can do. So you can see all these things. You can also gather all of this data and use it to reduce costs through optimizing the staff scheduling. So they can make an efficient use of their funding from a resource management point of view. So a lot of libraries have a very limited budget for staffing. So this is something that we can also do, and I'll quickly show you again the reports. So this is a footfall to staff hour report on a site level. So you can see here. You can see footfall versus staff throughout the weeks. This also is a very helpful heat map, which tells you the time of day where you are understaffed and overstaffed and things like this. So this is where the libraries can really, plan their staffing and really plan their schedules to really optimize their resources and optimize the funding that they have. This is also a very helpful tool. It comes with a predictive analysis for the coming weeks. So the darker blue in this graph here is the predictive, sorry. So they can, they can give a based on the data that their concrete data that they've gathered, they can plan effectively their staff allocation. So maybe in the morning they need more staff. There's more people, but as the day goes on, maybe there's less footfall. So maybe you need to split the staffing into shifts and all these kinds of things. It's the decisions that the libraries can make based on the data. So that can be really helpful for them. I will move on to the next one, which will be children counting. So as our cameras use 3D lens, and we can detect the height of the people that walk past. That's actually how we distinguish who is a person, and we are able to know the height of them based on the lens. So historically, our footfall counters have been programmed to not include children, so mostly because children don't have purchasing power. However, we have adapted our system to accommodate for libraries, so I'm sure they will certainly want to include children so they can know how many children are coming in. So let me just move on to this one. So this is quite crucial for libraries as educated for children. So the library can have information on the demographic of the utilization. So as you can see on this report here, they can have a breakdown of how many children come in. They might see that many children are coming in relative to adults. So, maybe they need to improve their children literacy section. Maybe they need to hold more events to cater for children, as so many children are coming in, and of course they'll come with their parents. So it's an extra drive in, kind of as like a marketing tool as well for the library. So they can replenish their resources accordingly and cater for those coming in. So kind of the things I just mentioned. So you can gather these reports here and make those informed business decisions, which perhaps they wouldn't have been able to make without kind of the people counter data, and especially with the data distinguishing if it's an adult or a child or not. So moving on to our live occupancy monitoring system. So this is to help public facilities comply with social distancing guidelines enforced by the government due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So many of you are probably aware of this by now. We have developed our live occupancy system. So as libraries are now reopening their facilities again, they will need to implement these measures to control the occupancy. They can't have too many people. We need to keep a safe distance, and to keep, not only the library staff safe, but also for the public to know that it's safe for them to go visit their library again. It's not going to be overcrowded. They're going to feel comfortable with going in there. So it's to keep both of them safe, really. So How it works is on a traffic lights-based system. So it's very simple. Green is okay to enter and red is to stop. And how we count the occupancy is the number of people coming in minus the people coming out. So that's obviously the occupancy. I will play this very quick video for you. Just in case some of you are not aware of how it works. So this is just quite an easy way of showing it. So as you can see, that's the people going out. So the count goes down, and as it goes in, and now the maximum has been met, so it's stopped. So there you can see they would have to stop there until someone comes out, and then someone's allowed to go in again. That's just a very brief overview of how it works. This is also live occupancy monitor. So this is for the customer, and this would be maybe for the management in the office or something like that, so they can keep an eye on the occupancy, the real-time occupancy there. So this will give a real peace of mind to the staff, as many libraries don't have the budget to employ a security guard every day, for every hour of every day. That would be very costly for them, especially based on the budget that they have. So this solution is a very cost-effective way to automatically control and maintain the occupancy of the building. So this can also be used for certain areas of the library as well, such as the toilets. So you can control the occupancy of the washrooms to maintain social distancing. So perhaps libraries will restrict the number of cubicles that are open. Maybe there'll only be one rather than 4. So this is a way you can know without having to go in if it's occupied or not. It's the same kind of system. You can use a traffic light system, and this is also for this would be included. So you can monitor. You can also for no extra cost you can monitor the cleaning schedules as well. So for the washrooms based on utilization, rather than on an hourly or daily basis, just going in to clean. The cleaners can clean based on the usage, but that's just a little something extra that's also would be included if you want to do a traffic light system for the toilets as well. So moving on to area utilization. So this is where you can get reports for comparing each zone of the libraries. So libraries are big or small, depending on, if they're big or small, they will have different zones and different sections. So perhaps a children's section, fiction, non-fiction, computer zones, reading zones, maybe a study area, and also separate rooms. So meeting rooms for maybe a book club or maybe a language lesson, depending on the library. There's lots of different things that go on at library, kind of as a hub of the community. So here the libraries can see the utilization of each of these areas. So these reports can be generated from the people counters to the management, so they can identify the popular zones. So the management might be able to see, okay, this zone is being really underutilized. Why is it being underutilized? What can we do to improve it? Or vice versa, the zone one section might be really overutilized, and they think, okay, well, this is popular for visitors. How can we improve it? How can we make sure people can't keep coming back? And also from a maintenance point of view, resources are being used. We need to make sure we keep everything clean and make sure everything's being replenished accordingly. So they can choose where to allocate these funds this way. I will also show this report, which is the live occupancy report, but also based on areas. So this would be very helpful. So this is combining this area utilization and our live occupancy. So you can see different areas, the live occupancy and the utilization rate. So you can see this area here. This is the full capacity, whereas over here, no one's using this room, or very few people are using this area over here. So they can kind of see the data of where people are going, how often they're spending there, and things like this, and also to keep an eye on the occupancy to know where everyone is, also from a security point of view as well, just have a good overview. So this would be very helpful for the management to be able to see the utilization of each area. I will move on to cross-site tracking. So this is where we can know about returning customer through Wi-Fi tracking. So they can also justify how the community use their resources. So they can know how long they spend inside. But also at the same time, you can look at cross-site visits. So this is maybe for a council library. They might have a chain of libraries in a certain area, or even across a city as well. Under the same jurisdiction, so they can apply to these areas. So if they come under the same county as well, maybe. So you can see about a returning customer to that specific library, or whether they go to different sites, and they can see, the usage of all the libraries, and they can see, do people stay loyal to one library, or do people tend to go across the different ones? They can see this data as well. Moving on to marketing effectiveness, this would be also the same as a kind of event effectiveness as well. So as we know, libraries can hold a lot of events to attract new visitors, as well as entertaining current ones. So maybe book club meetings, storytelling for children, book launches as well. Writing workshops, different classes like language classes, also music class, music ones. So like I mentioned, a lot of community requirements there. So all these different things. So the libraries might want to measure the effectiveness of these different events. Are people coming to them? Is it, do we need to do more to make sure people come? All these kinds of things. So they can compare the footfall for before the event and after the event, and they can look at, how the footfall during. So these reports were originally built for retailers for marketing, for sale periods and things like this, but can be applied for this scenario as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things. For example, like World Book Day for children. They might have a week-long event for World Book Day. Obviously, books and libraries. So they might compare the footfall for this. And if it's really well received, if the event is really popular, then maybe they want more events like this, or might want to improve on it next year to really capitalize on people coming to their library. So this is all part of making, the data-driven decisions, the informed business decisions that they may not have been able to make in a quantifiable way. Now I will talk about excluding staff from counting. So this is our staff exclusion tag. This is something the libraries might be interested in as well. It's whereby the camera recognizes a staff member, and then the staff member will be excluded from the counting. So staff might come in and out quite regularly depending on their schedules and things like this. So the staff might not want to be included. So this is how it works. You can watch this video when we send you the presentation. It just shows a little bit about how the staff exclusion tag works. So we've installed the latest kind of artificial intelligence recognition built in. So that's how this one works. So moving on to the enterprise class software, many of you know about our software already. It's our FootfallCam Analytic Manager version 8. I'll briefly talk about this. If you would like to know more about our Analytic Manager, we actually will be holding another webinar tomorrow, in fact, on more detail on our Analytic Manager, if you would like to take part. We have also held others regarding our Analytic Manager if you'd like to be sent the link, if you're unable to make it. So please let us know, and we can always send you the link for the recording or to join the webinar. So I'll just talk briefly about it, just to kind of give a really brief overview. So these are the functions. So you can get the staff alert if the capacity limit is breached. That's for the safe occupancy. So because there's no security at the door, people might ignore the signs, the enter and stop sign, it does happen. So people might come in, and then the staff, maybe in the office or behind the reception desk that's not near the front, they can get an alert to see that the capacity has been breached. Someone will need to go investigate. So maybe then someone might need to go man the door. So they'll be able to use the resources effectively rather than someone standing at the door all day. Maybe it's not needed, things like this. So centralized management analytics software. So if it doesn't need to be managed from that site, if there's multiple sites, it might be a head library. They can survey all the data that's going on from each site. So that's really helpful as well. We do have an API available for data integration. So if you want to integrate the data from the counter level or also from the software level, that's possible. We've done a lot of API integration with our partners before. We have a lot of predefined reports. We have health check reports for the counters to know if there's anything wrong with the counters. Different user accounts for the portal, so you can have a site level, maybe a region level, and maybe an admin level, so they can see everything, or a site level, so they can only see their own data. And you can also have an automated email scheduler. So perhaps on a Monday morning, you need to send your reports to management, to the regional management on the footfall and how the library's been doing. Then you can schedule that on a weekly basis if that's something that they want. We also have the portal available in different languages. We've also been working with other partners to provide with other languages, more local languages. So we've been working with our partners as well, to provide us with the translation, and we import it into our portal for you. I will just talk about the video proofing, how we ensure our 95% accuracy for those who don't know already about how our accuracy audit reports work. So what we do is we record video. So when the counter has been installed, we will schedule video recordings to collect a sample size of 20 footfall and more. And what we do is we configure the counter to ensure that it's able to detect the visitors in the video recording. So we manually watch the videos, we record our findings, and we cross-reference that with what the system finds. And then I will show you the report. I have it here. So it will look like this. There are 3 videos here. And you can see here, so the difference, so this one, the manual count and system count was correct. For the second one, there was a discrepancy of 1. And then the third one is a discrepancy of 2. So then altogether, the accuracy is 97.48% for in and 97.83% for out. So you can see it's over 95% accuracy. So this is really helpful for the customers, to give them peace of mind that the accuracy is working. They can always refer back to these accuracy reports. These are also available on the portal as well. So that's just how we kind of guarantee our 95% above accuracy, and they can come back to this at any time. I'll just talk about data privacy as well. So this is really important, crucial for libraries, as a public body. So our cameras are GDPR exempt. Sorry. I will show a fact sheet as well. We will also be sending you this. So it just kind of explains why we are GDPR exempt, what is GDPR as well, how do we anonymize the data. So the key thing is that we do not gather any personal data from the cameras due to it being from the ceiling. Not only from the ceiling, but we actually when we do the people counting itself, we use the depth map. So obviously it's black and white. You will not be able to distinguish any personal features from this image at all. We use the depth map, so that's how we count. And also when we do our video recording, so the only time we use the video recording is when we do the manual count, like I mentioned in the previous slide. We use a very low resolution on purpose, so we don't clash with the GDPR laws. We do use high definition for the depth map, but then it's used in a completely different way. So it would be impossible to identify anyone here. But if you do need more information on it, we can send you the fact sheet, and also we have a much longer document which explains in detail more about it. If that's something that you might need to show to the governing body or things like this, we are GDPR exempt. So this is the reporting suite. This is just a few sample reports that we have that our analytic manager can do. You can click on these links when we send you these slides following this webinar today. And if you have any other requirements, you can always let us know, and we can show you the relevant reports for that as well. So just moving on to some case studies. So the first one I'll talk about is the University of Oxford. So it's a very famous, very prestigious university, of course, in the UK, and through the world. It has a very large library, so it has very high traffic, of course. So what this library needs to do is to give peace of mind to the students and also to the parents of students, of course, so coming back to university, that the library is taking into account the social distancing guidelines, and it's to avoid overcrowding. So the budget for an individual library is quite low, probably can't afford a security guard to stand there all day. So this is a good alternative as an automated system. So this is a camera view of the library right here. So yeah, that's what they have been using it for. So as they have many libraries across the University of Oxford, they can centralize their data in one place to monitor the occupancy levels to make sure all the libraries are being safe. There's also an automatic display of the occupancy here, and there's also an automated alert for those who may be visually impaired to know whether they can enter or cannot. The next is the China Public Library. This is a library in America. This is a local council library. So they installed our people counters much before the pandemic, actually. So their requirements were to provide valuable resources and request government funding for the latest technologies to attract members of the community into the library. So they had previously faced difficulty. They had no method of determining the number of visitors that visited the library. So with the help of FootfallCam, we were able to make the cases to administration, such as the traffic data, to request for additional staff members, by perhaps proving that more labour is required so that they can that, so they don't just say it to their governing body. They don't just say we are really busy and there's no way of proving it. They could use this data to prove that they're really busy and that they need more funding for staff. They also need it for facility usage, so that patrons have been using the in-house digital resources and that this is popular. So by using kind of the zone reporting, so they were able to request for additional technology, and also resource planning. So by looking at areas, investing in extra resources for the most frequently visited areas. Next is Otis Library, also in the United States. This library is a very small venue, has limited capacity, so it's very easy for it to be overcrowded. So, especially during the pandemic, this occupancy system can give a peace of mind to their visitors that, their system is keeping everyone safe. The automated staff alert, if the occupancy goes over, was important, so the staff can investigate the door only when necessary. And they also use the live occupancy tracker widget. This is a widget which can be uploaded to the library website, which can display the occupancy at the time. So this can allow patrons to know if it's busy or not. Are they comfortable visiting? Is it worth me driving to the library right now? If the capacity is full, they might be able to see when it is more quiet, so they therefore feel more comfortable with going, to give patrons peace of mind, and also they can plan much better. Next, this is Haringey Libraries. This is a group of local libraries, a group of 8 local libraries in London. They were undergoing refurbishment, so they were calling for the need for people counters. So actually, we installed in these libraries due to a public bid. FootfallCam was selected amongst other vendors. We were actually awarded full marks for product pricing and also based on quality as well. So they needed the solid data for the traffic flow, how many people coming in, the facility utilization, the area utilization, and also the cross-site tracking, as I mentioned before. So this would be a good example of the cross-site tracking. So they have 8 libraries. Are visitors going to the same one? Are they going across the different ones? What are the patterns really? We've also installed in, a lot of other libraries. So these are some other locations in the United States, in Ireland, and also in Europe, in the Netherlands as well. So you can have a look at these images in more detail. And moving on, talking about something a little bit different, this will be the key selling points when approaching libraries. So this is, more for our resellers. So as a reseller, what are the key selling points when approaching libraries to sell the FootfallCam system to really encourage libraries that they need this data? So technology-wise, libraries are probably identified as a lagger. They usually don't jump on the newest technology trends. Usually technology is only employed when they have to have it rather than when something's new, partially due to the funding and partially just the way that libraries are. So libraries will want something off the shelf. So they don't want to be a guinea pig. They want something that's a ready-to-use system. They want something that's been proved to been used in many different industries and many different situations across the world, which ours has. So to really stress that this is a very established system already. It works. It's widely used as well. Also to be very industry specific, so focusing on how the libraries will use it themselves. So something that's really, made for them. So the reports which will be clear to them, not something, the libraries won't have the time to go through all the different reports to know which one is best for them. It's to sell them the whole package of the people counting and also the reports that they will get with it as well. And also something that's competitively priced. So our system is very competitively priced. Libraries provide community services. They're not profit making. So something that is competitively priced is very important to them. So I think these are the key things. So something that's ready to use and very ready, it's already established for them. They don't have to be trying around different things. This one will work for them and they will get the reports that they want and that it's a reasonable price as well. So these are kind of the key things when approaching the libraries for this people counting system and, for the data that they will need for the reasons that we mentioned before. So that is the end of my webinar today.